You define a political party that has seen violent crime rates skyrocket over 80% since they were elected just a decade ago, and their response to rapidly rising violent crime rates, crimes against women up 100% since they were elected, petty crimes up 200% across the board. The data does not lie. Crime in Canada has skyrocketed since the open borders, lax on bail policies Liberals were elected. And what's their response? Force you to turn your guns in. Force law-abiding Canadians to turn their guns in. A so-called gun buyback program is being implemented where the RCMP let the mask slip. This is not optional. They're saying that Canadians better turn their weapons in now, otherwise they look at potential prosecution. So the Liberal Party of Canada oversees skyrocketing crime rates due to open borders, where nearly 50% of our prisoners have entered this country in the past decade. They've done everything they can to make sure Canadians are not safe. Lax bail policies that see criminals get out on the streets again and again and again. We hear it's a daily occurrence of us hearing the most disgusting stories about men like Daniel Senecal who essay young children and get back out on the streets in only 12 months to do it again, in which people who are found breaking and entering into Canadians' homes are let out on bail just weeks after the incident. I personally know two people who were involved in drunk driving incidents, and the drunk drivers back out on the streets immediately. It's disgusting. Canada, with their woke ideology bullshit, refuse to punish criminals. They are the reason, their policies are the reason definitively that crime rates in this country have skyrocketed. So the Liberal Party of Canada has overseen skyrocketing crime rates, and what's their response? The response is not, we're going to go after the criminals harder, we're going to punish the criminals. Yesterday in the House of Commons, they're talking about how it's racist to mention the ethnic makeup of the majority of the criminals. This woke bullshit. No, they're not going to go after the criminals harder. What they're going to do is they're going to confiscate law-abiding citizens' guns. The statistics could not be more clear. 90% of gun crime is committed by illegal weapons holders. It is not the law-abiding citizens in Canada who are committing the crimes. It is illegal guns that are leading to crime. But what does the Liberal Party do? They say, we want your legally owned firearms. In a country where crimes against women have skyrocketed. It's so funny, the woke ideology claiming they're pro-women. They hate women. They have overseen a nearly 100% increase in crimes against women. And you know what they do in terms, they also ban women from even carrying pepper spray. It's illegal in Canada for a woman to carry pepper spray. So what do you call a party that intentionally oversees skyrocketing violent crime rates? And don't tell me it's not intentional. They can read the data. The data spells it out. Since Justin Trudeau, that fucking marshmallow, excuse my language, but he makes me mad. Since Justin Trudeau was elected and continuing into Mark Carney's term, crime rates in this country have skyrocketed. And it correlates perfectly with Justin Trudeau getting into power. It's their weak on crime Liberal policies. We see this Western country after Western country. Liberal parties get elected, crime rates skyrocket because they tacitly endorse the violence. It takes conservatives getting in saying, we're not putting up with this BS anymore. No more lax bail policies. 3 strikes are out. We need castle laws in Canada. We say, hey, you don't want to get assaulted? You don't break into somebody's goddamn house. Then the conservatives come in and crime rates go down. But to combine the two, to combine policies that make it easier than ever for felons, for the 2% of us who commit 99% of the crimes. In Vancouver, 40 men were arrested in 24 of a total of 6,000 times, an average of 150 times each, perfectly exemplifying the Liberals loving criminals. They love it. They want to destabilize society. But to combine that with a weapons buyback program for legally owned gun owners is a full-on communist assault on this country. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the great writer who lived through the gulags, wrote about how the number one sign that you were living in a communist society was that the government refused to punish the criminals, but they went incredibly hard after their political opponents. And that to a T is what we're seeing in Canada. The Liberal government of Canada refuses to go after criminals, refuses. But you know who they're going after now? They're going after political dissidents. With the introduction of Bill C-9, the so-called Combating Hate Act. You know what it really means? It means Combating Speech That They Hate Act. It expands the definition of hate speech to include so-called fomentation of detestation and vilification. It's an emotion. It's a goddamn emotion that they're criminalized. And we know definitively, I've already seen this on social platforms, the Canadian government wants to control every bit of content that you're allowed to consume. We know definitively they're going to try to throw us in jail to up to life in prison for so-called hate speech, for criticizing immigration policies. That's what they're going to say is hate speech. They don't care about the people waving foreign flags on our streets, yelling the most vile things you've ever heard in your entire life. I've heard plenty of hate speech on the streets, and it's been rolled out the red carpet from the RCMP. Go right goddamn ahead. You know, they're going to go after people who criticize them for immigration policies, who criticize them for 70,000 excess Canadians dying a year due to our overrun healthcare system, for criticizing people for saying that immigration has led to skyrocketing rental home prices, perfect 90-degree angle up since Justin Trudeau, the marshmallow, got elected in 2015. Go look at a chart. Rental and home prices both exploded. These people do not care about middle and lower class Canadians. They are woke ideologues who are intentionally destroying this country and looting it at the same time. They are communists. When they say that they want to pass a hate speech act, what they mean is speech that they hate. They don't want Canadians to be allowed to criticize them. They have absolutely no issues with criminals roaming free on our streets every single goddamn day. But if you dare criticize Mark Carney and the Liberal Party of Canada for literally implementing communism in our beautiful country, you are going to be gone after to the full extent of the law. It's disgusting, and Canadians need to stand up. We cannot let this government disarm us, this government that has made it clear again and again and again that they are willing to totally ignore our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It was ruled that during the Freedom Convoy, invoking the Emergencies Act was illegal, and they even refuse to acknowledge that. They say, oh, it was a mistake. It was a mistake, that ruling. It's disgusting. They're willing to stomp all over our Charter of Rights and Freedom between Bill C-9, Bill C-2, which defines every Canadian with a computer as a digital service provider and allows the government, if it's in the so-called national security interest, to look at any Canadian's communications, This Bill C-2 is more extreme than the Patriot Act that was passed post 9/11. Nobody in our mainstream media, CBC, CTV, will even talk about it. Also allows the government to open your mail before you have any notification whatsoever. If it's, again, in the so-called national security interest. This is communism, authoritarianism, right out of the Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot playbook. Canadians, wake the hell up as to what is going on in this country. Mark Carney is a nefarious individual who's looking to do the final hit job on our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Justin Trudeau got a lot of the job done. Carney is looking to finish it up. I'm going to be organizing rallies in the coming weeks. Reach out to your MPs. Say no to this gun buyback program. Say no to Bill C-9. Say no to Bill C-2. These bills cannot be allowed to pass. They trample all over the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I know there's a hell of a lot more Canadian patriots than there are these destroyers like Mark Carney. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel, join, become a member if you're interested in supporting. I really appreciate, put a lot of time every day into getting this message out to everyday Canadians, because we need to fight. Patriotic Canadians need to fight. If you're following on TikTok, make sure you're following on YouTube, youtube.com/@FightForCanada 2025, because I'm nearly at 19K subs, and the Canadian government is not a big fan of dissidents. Canadian patriots are going to fight, and we're going to take this country back.